Welcome to this lecture on evolutionary biology. Today, we are going to explore one of the most dramatic and fascinating topics in the history of our planet, mass extinctions. We will learn what happens when the slow, steady process of evolution is violently interrupted by global catastrophes. By the end of this session, you will understand not just what these events are, but how we mathematically measure their devastating impact on the tree of life. Let us dive in. To truly understand what a mass extinction is, imagine a massive library holding every book ever written. Normally, a few books get lost or damaged over the years, and new ones are added to replace them. This slow, steady turnover is what we call background extinction. It is a completely normal part of life on Earth. But now, imagine a catastrophic fire sweeps through the building, burning down a huge majority of the entire collection in a single night. That sudden, devastating loss is exactly what a mass extinction is. It is not a normal ecological process. It is a rare, catastrophic event that changes the course of evolutionary history forever. Now that we have an intuitive grasp, let us look at the formal biological definition. In evolutionary biology, a mass extinction is defined as a widespread and rapid decrease in global biodiversity. This happens when the rate of extinction significantly outpaces the rate of speciation, meaning species are dying off much faster than new ones can evolve. To be officially classified as a mass extinction, an event must typically wipe out at least 75% of all species on Earth. Furthermore, this massive loss of life must occur within a relatively short geological period, usually taking less than 2 million years. This rapid time frame is what separates it from normal evolutionary turnover. Building on that definition, we must ask what causes such rapid devastation. These events are not caused by everyday ecological pressures or weak species failing to compete. Instead, they are driven by extraordinary, global-scale environmental catastrophes. We are talking about massive asteroid impacts, continent-sized volcanic eruptions, or sudden, drastic climate shifts. Because these events are so extreme, they fundamentally restructure the global biosphere overnight. The rules of survival completely change. This means that even highly adapted, dominant groups of organisms can be wiped out entirely, simply because the environment they mastered no longer exists. It is a complete ecological upheaval. Understanding this complete ecological upheaval leads us to an important question. Why study these ancient disasters? The answer is that mass extinctions act as the ultimate reset buttons for evolution. When dominant groups of organisms are wiped out, they leave behind empty ecological niches, essentially vacant jobs in the ecosystem. This sudden vacancy allows surviving, previously suppressed groups to rapidly evolve and diversify to fill those roles, a process known as adaptive radiation. For example, without the extinction of the non-avian dinosaurs, mammals and humans might never have evolved into the diverse forms we see today. Furthermore, recognizing the warning signs of ancient ecological collapses helps modern conservation biologists predict and mitigate the impacts of human-driven climate change today. To move beyond just describing these events, we need to measure them. This brings us to the mathematical representation of extinction magnitude. Conceptually, this formula calculates the percentage of biodiversity lost during a specific event. Let us break down the symbols. M represents the magnitude or severity of the mass extinction, measured as a percentage. N sub I stands for the initial number of species or families present right before the extinction begins. N sub f represents the final number of those same groups that survived immediately after the event. If N sub f decreases significantly, the value of M increases, indicating a highly severe mass extinction. If N sub f is very close to N sub I, M remains low, representing normal background extinction. Before we move on, let us see this formula in action with a concrete example. We will look at the Permian-Triassic extinction, often called the Great Dying. Suppose a paleontologist finds that there were 400 distinct marine families present before the event, so our initial value is 400. After the extinction boundary, only 16 of those families are found, making our final value 16. We are asked to find the magnitude of this extinction. We substitute these values into our formula. First, we subtract 16 from 400, which gives us 384 extinct families. Dividing this by the initial 400 gives a decimal of 0.96. Multiplying by 100 gives our final answer, a staggering 96%. Physically, this means almost the entire marine ecosystem collapsed, leaving only a tiny fraction of survivors. Now that we have quantified the total loss, we must consider another crucial factor: time. A mass extinction is not just about how many species die, but how quickly they die. This brings us to the extinction rate formula. Conceptually, this measures the speed of biodiversity loss. E represents the extinction rate, telling us how fast species are disappearing. Delta N represents the total number of species that have gone extinct. Delta T represents the time interval over which these extinctions occurred, usually measured in millions of years. If the time interval delta T is very small, meaning a rapid event, and the species loss, delta N, is very large, the extinction rate E skyrockets. This skyrocketing rate is the true mathematical hallmark of a mass extinction. Let us apply this new formula to understand the normal pace of nature. We are given a normal background period lasting 10 million years, during which a specific clade loses 50 species. We need to calculate the background extinction rate, which we will call E sub B. We chose this formula because we need to find the speed of extinction over time. We substitute 50 for delta N and 10 for delta T. Dividing 50 by 10 gives us a final answer of 5. This means the background extinction rate is 5 species per million years. Physically, this represents the slow, steady pruning of the evolutionary tree that happens every day. It serves as our baseline. Without knowing this normal rate, we cannot truly appreciate the severity of a mass extinction. Now, let us contrast that baseline with the famous KT mass extinction that killed the non-avian dinosaurs. We are given that during this catastrophic event, the same clade loses 4,000 species over a much shorter time frame of just 2 million years. We are asked to find the mass extinction rate, E sub M. Again, we use the extinction rate formula. We substitute 4,000 for the species lost and 2 for the time interval. Dividing 4,000 by 2 gives us a final answer of 2,000 species per million years. Notice how massive this number is compared to our previous calculation. Physically, this rapid rate of death shows that the environment changed so quickly that species simply did not have the time to adapt or evolve. So, we have calculated both the normal rate and the catastrophic rate. This brings us to the mathematical proof of why the KT event is classified as a mass extinction. This chunk of our analysis sets out to remove all subjectivity by comparing the two rates directly. We define a ratio, R, as the mass extinction rate divided by the background extinction rate. We substitute our calculated values, 2,000 divided by 5. The mathematical reasoning here is simple division, yielding a result of 400. The intuition behind this is profound. It proves that during the KT event, species were going extinct 400 times faster than normal. This stark contrast proves that mass extinctions are entirely different, catastrophic regimes, paving the way for a new era of life. Now that we have proven the mathematics behind these events, let us look at the grand scale of Earth's history. Here, you are seeing a graph of the big 5 mass extinctions. The horizontal axis represents geological time, going back 600 million years. The vertical axis shows the extinction rate in families per million years. Notice the blue line running along the bottom. That is the low, steady background extinction rate we calculated earlier. But look at the 5 massive red spikes. Each of these peaks represents a moment when the extinction rate skyrocketed, overwhelming the biosphere. The tallest peak in the middle is the Permian-Triassic event, the Great Dying, which we analyzed. The final peak on the right is the Cretaceous, or KT extinction, marked by the asteroid impact. This diagram visually reinforces how rare and devastating these events truly are. We have covered a tremendous amount of ground today. Let us reinforce the most important ideas. First, mass extinctions are not just accelerated normal evolution. They are rapid, catastrophic events that wipe out over 75% of species. Second, we can mathematically define them using the extinction rate, which vastly exceeds normal background levels during these crises, and the magnitude, which measures the total percentage of biodiversity lost. Finally, remember that while these events are devastating, they are crucial drivers of evolutionary change. By clearing ecological space, they allow new groups of organisms to thrive. You now have a solid mathematical and conceptual understanding of mass extinctions. Keep these principles in mind, as studying the past is our best tool for protecting the future of life on our planet.